Last episode, featuring Sam McKay on Unplug with Mel, left us truly inspired. It was a wow moment for me. Catching up with him was an absolute delight, and the synergy between Motivosity and Sam is undeniable. In our conversation, Sam shared his journey into sales, explaining why it works for him, even though it's not his passion. His true love lies in the cowboy lifestyle. Sam, I hope you catch as many sunset and sunrises out on the great range of Montana as soon as you can. If you haven't tuned into Sam's interview, I highly recommend catching up soon. But we're here to talk about our next guest. It's Leigh Tarzian, an HR professional and the SHRM certification lead for our local chapter, PB SHRM. Leigh has done an outstanding job contributing significantly to our motivated and growing chapter. Our interview was such a blast, and just in time for the holidays. I can't wait to share it with you. Tune in on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts for another engaging conversation. Red button, we are live. What is it? Slime in the Ice Machine, Marvin Zindler. It was a local Houston news channel, the way they sign off, or it was like Walter Conrad would be like, Godspeed.
Yes.
There's always a sign. I need to sign off.
You do?
I need to
okay, we have to come up with this.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Challenge accepted.
Yes.
Well, Leigh, welcome to Unplug with Mom. I'm finally glad we got on the schedule.
I know.
This has been a feat. I'm telling you.
Just a wee bit.
We're in fourth quarter. We're wrapping up for the new year, and we're actually starting 2024 now.
Almost. I mean, look at my earrings. It's clearly the holidays.
Yes. And by the time this comes out, it'll probably be closer to
Christmas.
It
probably will be. Yes.
Or Christmas could already be passed. So just FYI there, because I don't release these every single day. That'd be great if I could.
For all of us.
Somebody make me podcast famous.
I know. But we can do this.
I know.
Show the hell out of it.
I know Leigh through our local PB SHRM chapter, and that is kind of the theme this month of my guests, that there's some correlation of networking that has got me to meet these amazing warriors in their industry, in their life. And Leigh, I just gravitate to her because she's so bubbly and genuine. And every time she is available to come to our meetings or lunch and learn, she's always got something new on her wardrobe. From her glasses to her earrings. And that's like me too. I have a twin.
Yes,
and didn't know it. Because when we went to PB, or actually it was HR Southwest this fall, she shows up and she's got cool glasses for every outfit. And
every day.
Do I? And I thought I was like being cool and unique.
Yeah. Have to wear a different pair every day.
Yes. And mine color coordinated, hers are just more cooler than mine. But I thought I was being so smart about from the boots to the color of the glasses and how I was gonna do my hair. And here comes Leigh with one of them was like a circle and a square.
Yes.
And then another one is like a up and downsies, like upsy turvy or twisty turvy.
They're just kind of twisty.
Yeah, it's amazing. They're amazing.
But I did have on these that are like little pies.
Yes.
Little
which is
flowers.
Great right after Thanksgiving. Yeah.
And then I did bring my asymmetrical with the square and round. And so depending on how you approach me and what side you see, I will blow your mind.
Yep.
On purpose.
And she does it in her career and in her personal life. And she is also our SHRM certification chair with our local chapter. And so the plug-in to there is that I had thought I was doing really well in my studies and time management, and I failed that test twice with the SHRM CP. And I was deflated and frustrated about where I wasn't going right, because I swore I knew what I was doing, right? And so she signed up a new class and I registered in there, and I needed to hear how she brought it into the SHRM way and to get out of my way and see it from a different perspective, because I'm using my experience in my company and how many employees I have, and that's not how they're wording the questions for the answer.
No.
And that was the ticket. But it took me over a year, so this is perseverance, y'all,
And I was able to go to the next level certification, the SCP, the senior certified by then, because I had been in the industry another year and a half or so, and I passed.
Yay!
And when you look at your report and it shows the growth, I compared first test, second test, and third test, and I actually brought it to my boss because the first one showed very in the you could see even I think business was kind of really low, and the next one you could see it move just a little bit more. But on the SCP, I was all the way over the line.
That's
and
great.
Every single, it is a struggle if you've been in the industry long enough, and I've had 15 years experience in management. And so things that I would normally handle in my mindset's not necessarily the SHRM way,
No,
but they're
it
looking
isn't.
at it internationally, globally, large companies.
They're also looking at best practice, but almost perfect world.
Yeah, utopia.
And
Yep.
they're
That's
looking at
what you taught me.
utopia, and I don't know about you, but I sure as Hades do not have that group of people. We also don't have these, open checkbooks and these really deep pockets.
Or this great leadership team that's going to support all the visions of HR.
Precisely.
It's just not going to happen. So that's what I was doing. I was solving it, and it was really close because there's two that are ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
There's two.
You can always strike two answers quickly.
Eliminate those,
Yeah.
and then those two, and it's like, ooh. So I learned in the studying, okay, that's more Mel's way, so go this way.
This way.
Like, this is how I would handle it. That's probably
I also tell people, okay, how much money you got to spend?
Yeah, that's
Use
a good
that one.
I love how we got to meet, and I love what you do for our chapter, and I love that you helped me pass that test. But you're so much more than that to me. Throughout our journey, she's become a mentor, and I love it because she's been doing this before I was out of junior high.
I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it off and on since 1991.
Yeah. I'm an 84 baby, so not even elementary I was out. But I love that it doesn't make any time difference in this, because if I have a scenario going on, or I have a question, or even with my next step in going for a master's degree, I can call her up and say, hey, let's go have dinner and let's chit chat. And then the same thing, I'm recently involved in stuff, and so I have different things coming my way, and I'm like, she might have a problem, and I'm like, have you thought of it this way?
Yeah.
And that's what network is. And I say this in a few of my podcasts, and I think Bruce Waller is the one that said it, so I continue to give him credit. Your network is your net worth. And being a part in the HR industry has taught me you cannot do it alone, even if you're an HR of one. I really stress that, because you don't have any team. You can't go vent to just anybody at your company.
No.
And you still need to somewhere. It can't be your kids or your spouse all the time, or your dog. Bless my dogs.
Yes.
So when I really started to struggle at my company, it was still coming through COVID. And that's when my boss says, there is a chapter here that you need to be involved in. And so that's when I started to learn what SHRM was, and that there was an actual PB SHRM out here. It had just kind of, taken a pause through COVID. But then I met Robert Segura and you, and then I got acclimated into it. And then I took a leap, because the way to know how a chapter works and to really get into the networking of SHRM is to volunteer. And so I joined the board right away. And I went through a work day. Little did I know that I would actually sign up for something, but there was a need. And so we didn't have a lot of turnout, but then it's still going through COVID. So if we want any type of change, or we really want to understand the how and the why of things, volunteer. And I was really hoping for social media and website, because I do that. And I lost that. Someone else was quicker on the hand raise.
Yeah.
I need a better draw with my hand. And so the next two options was VP and programs chair. And I was too new to even remotely think of a vice president, which is the president-elect. And so I was like, no way, you will not volunteer me for that. And so
Little do you know.
Yeah. So when they said programs chair, and I had a few questions, and I was like, okay, well, for someone that struggles with being a little bit of an introvert at that time, and not very well confident, and anybody really wasn't that confident in that time thing, but I was really struggling on finding my lane. And so I was like, okay, I'll go for it. Little did I know by saying yes to being the program chair of our local chapter, did it make me see the value in networking and how humbling it is to see those I don't know say yes. Say, I'll drive down to teach. I'll come to your meetings. Hey, reaching out to the board, I'm like, hey, I have no one for this coming month. Anybody have a, luck in the hand draw of your black book that would give us a yes within the next week so we can advertise?
Oh yeah.
And that was the first year. It was a lot of that because I didn't have a black book. I was growing my black book. 4 years later, I am now the president-elect of PB Sherm, and I'm still the programs chair because I don't want to give it up because I love it so much. But we are fully booked for our Lunch and Learns all the way through next year.
That's fabulous.
And we're working on our conference for next year already. I am passing the torch on to so one of our newest members probably, or whoever wants it or whatever, and they're going to be given a succession planning.
Yes.
Very well, and my black book has quadrupled from all of the work and effort from the board, from my volunteering, from nationals to local SHRM chapter conferences, and a lot of my guests are that black book because that's how well we work. We want to support anyone doing something new, and it comes alive, and you come alive in that. In any season in my company now, I don't have to fret about this. I just need to get on the phone and text, Robert or Leigh. I'm like, hey, somewhere on our schedule, I need a one-on-one. We do it every day for our staff.
Oh yeah.
We need a one-on-one, and it just to make sure that we're in alignment on our strategic planning, our critical thinking, or I love it the way I phrase it is, am I missing something critical in this, or am I on the right path? And just having that sounding board is crucial, and that's made me rise as an emerging leader. And without their support, without their yes, without them clearing their calendar to come on a podcast, to go have a lunch or a dinner with me, I would probably feel like a failure. And I think Robert Segura says it about driving on the bus.
Yes.
I love it. And I'll go back to it because he says, we all have a seat at the bus, and sometimes it's not the driver's seat.
Exactly.
And that's how I see how he's mentored me all along. He got out of the driver's seat. He put me in it because he was the one that met me on the plane and told me, not only I'm going to help you through this, but you're joining the chapter and you're coming to the work day. And that's all it took, was one guy seeing my potential and going, I know what you need in this. It may sound foreign, it may sound ridiculous, but it will teach you. And now here I am going, okay, I've been in the driver's seat. Now I can get out of the seat and mentor. Start a podcast, whatever it is. And I love how it comes full circle. So in this journey, Leigh, I don't tell people who you are. That's how we met, y'all. And that's what she means to me. But there's a whole story here. And it's of Leigh Tarzian. And you get to just go with it as you will. Who are you? Where you're from? I know you're married, all that stuff.
I am.
So who are you, Leigh?
So who am I? Oh my gosh, I don't know. Let's check. Where's the book? No. I am originally from Dallas, Texas. That's where both of my parents are from. My father was career military. So I was actually born in Virginia, lived there for 2 years, moved to California, lived there for 5, got to Texas as soon as I could. So I was 7, but that's,
You weren't really dictating that road trip,
Exactly. So grew up in Dallas.
Okay.
And that was my home for a very long time. Got married when I was 30. I know my mother was fretting. She's like, oh my God, I've got a spinster for a daughter.
But nowadays it's like,
I know.
it's normal.
It is normal now.
38, not married. My mom's such a shame.
So, and then I've been in Midland now for 21 years, which seems crazy, but yeah. And now Midland is my home, and I've moved my mom here. But as far as what I was doing and career-wise, I've been a wanderer. I'm not a planner, never have been. I drive my other half absolutely bonkers because he is an engineer and has to process map everything to the nth degree.
So
and
he's
yeah.
more of a planner than I am. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's not
Or
me.
maybe I do and I don't know I'm doing something.
That could be.
But I think that's why we work.
Yeah, precisely.
Because we need people. We counteract.
We do.
We're counterintuitive there.
So I, right out of high school, I knew I couldn't afford college. Knew it. But my mom wanted me to have that experience. So I did go for one semester to Stephen F. Austin State University. I had a great time. Did I really focus on my studies? Not really, because I knew it wasn't gonna last. I knew it was one semester just to get a taste of it, and then back home. So then I went to local community college in Dallas and just took classes as I could pay for them. Here, there, you know. Finally, now mind you, I graduated high school in '86. Finally in '95, Richland College said, you really need to get out of here. I had at that point, maybe 95 hours and nothing to show for it because I picked and choose. I just picked classes I like. And I'm going to school at night, so I'm working during the day. And I'm doing things, you know, primarily admin. I never did the service industry, ever. Because my mom was a legal secretary, paralegal, and so I started working for the same temp agency she did. So I've always done administrative stuff. But I decided I needed to, you know, get away from home when I was 21. So I moved to Washington State, get a job as a receptionist. I keep losing my jobs because of my accent. Now, mind you, it's not anywhere near like it was when I was in my 20s because I worked really hard to mitigate it. And so now some people, if they're not really listening, can't tell where I'm from.
Yeah, I would have not known.
So, yeah, and I sound nothing like my mother. But I came back to Texas after 6 months.
We're thankful for that.
Yeah, came back to Texas after 6 months and I got a job with a fax machine company.
Of all things.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of obsolete.
So
now.
I'm a receptionist in the front desk. So I have the biggest office. Hey, I sit in a rotunda. And it is, you know, the receptionist, how you treat that when you are a guest in the office, whether it's to interview, ask for a meeting, whatever, how you treat the receptionist is a pretty good indicator of what you're going to be like beyond, you know, once the shiny has worn off. And HR would come by and ask me, well, how was this person? How was that person? And I would tell them, and so I got invited to join them. So that's how I got into HR.
I love it.
Was the invitation upstairs after giving them my 2 cents, because I'm an intelligent posterior and I own it.
Did y'all catch that?
I used to tell the president of the company off. Well, actually, I didn't originally. I treated everybody else like the pain in the ass that I am. But I didn't treat him that way. He's like, you treat me differently. And I said, well, you're the president and CEO of the company. He goes, oh no, you treat me like you treat everybody else. And I went, do you know what you're asking for? He went, yes, I do. Okay, you got it.
I love
And
it.
so then I would stop, you know, popping off and making cracks. And of course, people are looking at me like, what? But I got into it through that, through people seeing who I was, understanding fully that I am an intelligent posterior. That is part of who I am. I will make it fun. And from there, it just kind of went. And then I went to UTD to take some HR classes. There was not an HR degree at that point in time.
I'm thankful
that did not exist.
It's coming around now.
It's coming around now, but it didn't exist back then.
Yep.
So my degree plan was independent studies.
Okay.
So that's where you piecemeal what you're gonna do. Well, then I got married. So I stopped.
Sidetrack.
Because we moved to Colorado.
There you go.
We were there for 3 years, came back to Texas. And after he took a job, after 9/11, he took a job on the East Coast with the Army Research Lab. at Aberdeen. And 24 hours before the movers were to pack up my house in Colorado and move me to, Maryland, West Virginia, the house deal fell through.
Oh, goodness.
It's like, oh, shit. So, a friend hates the East Coast with a passion. And I kept throwing him, go look at this house, go look at that house, go look at this house. He wouldn't go look at them. So after a couple of months of this, I got tired of it. I said, fine, pick me a city in the state of Texas because I'm going home. He's like, I hate big cities. I said, fine, pick me a city in the state of Texas. And he picked Midland. So I have lived in Midland for 21 years.
That's like planting by travel roulette.
Almost.
Just throw a dart at the map and see where it lands. And of all places, it's Midland.
Well, I had a few qualifiers.
Okay.
There had to be a mall, which
Okay.
meant there would be people.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
There had to be an airport nearby.
Okay.
And I had to be able to get to the grocery store
Okay.
in 30 minutes or less.
Okay.
Because if he had chosen for me, I would be where our property is down in Presidio. And our property is 7 miles outside of Presidio. Actually, it's 7 miles out and 5 miles in. Yeah, it's...
So he'd be in no man's land.
Yes.
And you'd be miserable.
And I would be miserable. And also, where would I get a job?
Yes, that's true. And 20 years ago, there wasn't a lot of remote jobs.
No.
And you had to be on site. And, calling our mall is
Midland's population when I moved here in 2002 was only 90,000.
Yeah,
It was very fast paced. So
it's good to see after COVID because we had a lot, I say it before, excuse me, Midland, Odessa is a transit town.
Oh, it's more transient than people realize.
Yeah.
And even with PB Sherm, we
We
are
get
part
transplant.
of
I'm a
the
transplant.
Texas, we are part of, as you know, Texas Sherm.
Mm-hmm.
And the Texas Sherm board, they always kind of Odessa, Midland, Odessa, Permian Basin, oh
Mhm.
my, because it is very difficult for us to keep a full board because people move in and out based on the jobs. As one of your prior guests, also said, the Permian Basin is comprised of, I believe, 20 counties between Texas and New Mexico.
Yep.
And we are also 40% of U.S. oil production.
Yep.
And with that, and we do have most of the majors here, they're going to bring their people in. We are a training ground.
We are.
For the majors.
Yeah.
And especially those that they're going to bring them here a lot.
Yep.
And don't give the
But
names.
that's HR in general because we can't give all facts out. A lot of it's confidential, but we still need resources and
Yeah,
tools.
so it's okay. Here's my hypothetical situation, and
Yep.
let's go this out. And then guess what? We leave that conversation either budding with the ideas of how we're going to approach it, or we just got our answer. We just got to implement what came out of that
Bingo.
discussion.
Yep.
And that happens a lot because, again, we all know each other. And realistically, anybody who spends any time here, we just trade jobs.
I've been part of the chapter almost 4 years now, and I feel like I've known these people all my life.
Yes.
And even if I left here and went somewhere else or whatever, they're coming in my back pocket.
We are. We have to.
Because that's your network.
It is.
That's your network. And and so like you being in the industry as long as, I love seeing your trajectory where you are now because it gives me hope.
Yeah.
In mind.
I didn't finish my degree until I was 43. I was 43 when I finished it, and it was largely because the company I was at that point in time, I was an HR admin doing the work of a generalist, but I didn't have that piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And another person was a full generalist with the exact same paper that I had, which was the associates. But I couldn't be one because I was in corporate. And it's like,
And
no,
how
that's
society,
not right.
corporate
We're
world.
doing exactly the same job. The only difference is I support the corporate people, she supports the field people. Other than that, there was zero difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so being the sarcastic, wonderful person that I am, I would make pop-off comments. And they finally said, well, we know you've been to college. We know you have a lot of hours. How close are you to finishing your degree? I said, well, actually finishing at one university because I have over 120 hours. And they were like, what? I went, well, you've got to finish at one school with at least 33 to 35 hours, depending on the school. So they're kind of like, if we pay for it, will you go finish it? Like, yeah, sure. And it was absolutely amazing because they did pay for it. I did finish, and suddenly I grew a brain.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Imagine.
All of a sudden, I had intelligence. I was worth, they already came to me for the down and dirty answers because I would get that to them. But now they wanted my opinion and my thoughts. And it's like, and of course, I did puff off about that too, which is why I wasn't invited to move when the company relocated. I was invited to train my successor, but I was not invited to actually stay, which was not a bad deal.
No, but you're holding them accountable for the way of the behavior that they treated you.
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
I do remote, and I do it very well. I've done it for 9 years now.
Yeah.
So I go in when I have
That's
to.
incredible. I don't know how you do it.
I go in when I have to. Now, granted, we do have a policy that says, yes, you do have to go to the office. But our walls are really, really thin. So I do a lot of my work, the important calls at the house. And then I might go in later in the day just because the walls are so thin. And it is funny where my office is at the back because I have a voice that carries.
Yes.
And even if I'm talking low, you can hear me all over. And it's a small office, there's only 7 people. So I'm back in the corner, but one of my walls is the conference room and the other wall is the men's room. And when I am in the office, they are incredibly hydrated.
So in your story, all that traveling, marrying your lovely Frank.
Yeah. Frank.
Fran.
Okay, so
among his, I hear Frank, I hear Fran.
Okay, so professionally, he is known as Frank. His name is Francis, and he's a junior.
Okay.
So Frank professionally. Amongst family, he is Fran.
Okay.
So yes, I do flip back and forth depending on who I'm talking to. And of course, I'm comfortable right now, so I'm all over the board.
That's fine. This is Unplugging with Mel.
Yes.
So to redirect in there for the audience and stuff like that, you got your degree.
I did.
You didn't get to go with the next company. Where did you land?
I landed at a small pediatric clinic here in Midland.
Oh, cool.
And I was their HR manager. It was absolutely delightful. I loved it. What I hated, because I do not have children. I have dogs. My children have 4 legs. I did not have the immune system that you do as a parent because your kids are bringing stuff. It's ironclad. And even the doctors told me it's going to take you a while to build that up. However, and I was only there 1 year because in that 1 year, I got strep 9 times.
Wow.
I mean, I was sick every month. And it's even though Frank was not here and I certainly was not passing things to him, it's like, I can't do this. I cannot be. And I'm not the type that gets sick a whole lot. So getting sick was really, really odd for me. And to be sick every month, no.
You were allergic to that job.
I was, even though I loved my doctors. I mean, my doctors were absolutely amazing. It's like, y'all, I cannot do this.
So after that, where'd you head?
I actually went to the company that paid for, or actually I went to the company I'm at now. So the company I'm at now, they, at the time, they had 200-ish employees here in the Permian Basin.
Okay.
Stretched between Big Spring, which had the largest, Midland, Andrews, and a couple of other little sites. So I split my time between Big Spring and the office in Midland. really, I worked more out of my home because of thin walls. And that office, gorgeous as it was, there was a wet bar in my office, had 14-foot ceilings, which means everything echoes. But still, it was good. But then we sold the piece of the business that was primarily here in the Permian.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go with the sale because, you know, when you sell a business, the employees go too. Well, I got kept, which was highly unusual for the organization I'm with now. I'm actually with a company called Smith's Group that's UK based. And the division I work with is US based, but overall we're a UK based company. Their philosophy is you do not have a generalist / manager at a site with less than 100 people. That's their philosophy. I'm at a site with 7. So I got kept. Somebody, bless their souls, liked the fact that I can come up with answers. I know I may not know the answer off the top of my head, but I know where to go get it, or I know who to go call. That's my network. Mm-hmm. I know who to call and go get the answer or help contrive a solution. So here I am. I'm still here at a site with only 7 people. Mm-hmm. And
you're living it.
I'm living it. I still have, you know, those that from somewhere, clearly they're cheering because I am out here in West Texas, which is not a huge, it potentially could be a huge market for them. It's not as big as it could be, but yet I'm here. Mm-hmm. And so I do a lot of my best work remote, but that because of that, I can pick up the phone when you or Robert Segura or Carol Christiani or Chuck over in Odessa give me a call and have a question. Hey, let's chat. Mm-hmm. Because of that, I can also facilitate the SHRM learning system twice a year. And this year, it's graciously hosted bi-weekly at one of the large employers here in the area. Yeah. So
and they're doing great work, and
they are doing amazing work.
I love it. And that's again partnership. That's networking. It's connection. It comes all around.
It does.
Leigh, I thank you for telling me your story. It's amazing to hear. Every time I hear a guest speak of their trajectory of life, it still gives me hope that if you really listen to someone's story and you're not comparing yourself to them, that you're in alignment with your life just the way it needs to be, because you're going to come out on the other side of it. Just like
one of your earlier speakers, I'm like, oh my gosh, she didn't just walk into this and was this amazing person. Yeah. She had trials and tribulations. Yeah, so, oh my gosh.
So we're going to get into yours. In all of this, and you sounded perfect in all of it, like with the systematic way of your life went, but I am 100% sure that there's been some setbacks and some doubts and maybe even a failure in there.
There's always doubts. There's always failures. I guess you could say the most dramatic one was with the company that told me I could not be elevated to generalist, even though that was the work I was doing until I had that piece of paper. Mm-hmm. And see, anytime you tell me I can't do something, that's waving a red flag in front of my face.
Mm-hmm. Like a bull.
Yeah.
She looks great in red too, so.
Yes. Yeah. So that is, don't tell me I can't, because then I am going to, it may not look pretty. It may not be done the correct way. It definitely won't be done the same way you do it. Yeah. But it may look like a 6th grader did it. But it's gonna get done.
But that makes me pause on that too. Just if an employer is watching my podcast, kudos to you. But it means to, again, value your people and their skill sets and know their strengths and weaknesses, and don't cap them at the level you think a piece of paper would get them further. Yeah. Like, don't do that. And it's heartbreaking that it's still happening in this corporate world.
Well, you realize the whole piece of paper thing has really only been predominant for about the last 25 years.
Yeah, we're babies still.
We are babies because prior to that, a person was hired based solely on their knowledge, skills, and abilities. Could they do it? Not where did they get that piece of paper? Not do they have a piece of paper? It was, can you do it? Great. We're going to take you. There used to be apprenticeships in this country.
That's what I was going to.
We don't really have them anymore. It looks like people are starting to try and get that back.
Internships now.
Which would be great. But, you know, we have now in this country, we have lost so much talent, so much skill because it wasn't valued anymore. Oh, go get a degree in computing. Go get, let's face it, when I was in high school, it was the first year there were computers and they were in the typing class. So I had to teach my teacher because she didn't have time to go read the manual. So I read the manual and taught my teacher how to use the computer.
That's a victory, right?
Because my mom's husband, when I was the second husband, was really into computing. So I was raised with it when they were, rare as hen's teeth in the home.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy, but it's like, yeah, I can teach you, Mrs. Trotman. We can do this.
And that's the thing. We're still such a very young country. America is still a baby in a lot of things. But to hold the weight of a piece of paper saying, I went through the journey, took the classes, earned the certificate, yay me, and not value the person beforehand.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That paper less important to the person.
Less important to the person, and also just inflation has gotten, absolutely nuts. When I first started going to college, when I was going to Richland College, I paid with books maybe $150, $175 a semester.
Yeah, it's not bad. But I will give kudos, I can see how hurtful that was and can be a setback in that. But a victory is that, yay, you did it.
I did it.
Whether you felt like, it meant something to you or not at that point. And then I want to touch into any other success stories of victories in it, not necessarily from getting that paper, but just your journey of traveling and planting your feet.
As far as doing things, I think something that I'm most pleased with is I have been working with the certifications for PB Sharm through PB Sharm for the last 10 years.
I'm telling you.
And it started out after I got mine, and they needed someone to teach a Saturday because it used to be, again, we're a transient community. We would have a different person present each module. And so I did one. Well, then as we started losing volunteers, we still want to do this. So I stepped up and started teaching. Well, actually, I'm not a certified teacher. I am a facilitator.
Yep.
You do your own teaching. You teach yourself through the materials that are provided.
It's self-study.
It is a lot of self-study. And then when these individuals who are signing up, for these sessions, I'm there to help them or to say, okay, here's a way to think about it, or here's a way to look at it. You have the materials, you have the knowledge, you have the experience, but let's come at it from a different viewpoint and see if that helps you gain more clarity, and then you get through your certification. So having done this for 10 years now, which seems scary, I'm very pleased about it because with PB Sharm, this is not a moneymaker for us at all.
This is a give back.
We charge the individuals who are signing up the cost of the materials, no more.
No, you do this.
My time is volunteered.
Yep.
And right now I've got 2 concurrent sessions going. I've got one with 6 people that are just members of PB Sharm, signed up through PB Sharm. And we meet every single Friday. But I had already committed to this local, very large employer. So for those who are here in the Permian Basin, it's ProPetro. ProPetro asked if I would facilitate again, because I did facilitate for them for the last window. They have 16 people. They
Shout out to Brandon and
yes.
Is it David? No, not
Brian Whittingham. Brian Whittingham.
Sorry, Brian. I will get it right one day.
You will.
Just an amazing team out there to invest in your team. 15 individuals to take.
Yes.
Like I already go back and listen to how hard this test was for me.
It's a hard test.
It's just amazing what they value in their team. You've put into your team what you want, the input, output.
And so their sessions are only bi-weekly, but it's at their facility. So our 6 people have the option of going to their facility on those alternate Fridays. And when we're doing for our 6, we are going through the approved PowerPoint slides and going and talking about them. ProPetro prefers a different approach completely. We go through repeatedly test questions.
And I think that's how I ultimately felt more confident myself.
Yes.
And so I would actually like text Robert or you or anyone a set question and being like, okay, I think it's A. Why in the heck is it C?
Yes.
You know, and that helped.
And they are becoming more comfortable with that approach.
I can understand that approach, and I wish them all the best. But kudos to ProPetro. 15 people.
15 people right now. Is it 15 or 16? They don't all show up every single scheduled Friday.
Again, it's self-study.
But still, it's 15 to 16 people. I am their resource to say, hey, why is this answer B?
Yeah. I
and
really
then we talk it,
C,
and we talk it through.
Yep.
Because I'll ask him, why do you think it's C? Okay. The answer is B, and here's why. Now do you see the difference in the two? I said, your answer's not wrong. It's just not the best.
Yep.
And unfortunately, you don't get partial credit.
No, you do not.
You don't.
There's no grace.
No.
The grace is in your network, who you're connecting with.
Precisely.
Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
We'll get this. And I love that. But at the same time, you're just at a very young age, you do to advocate for yourself.
I was doing that at 10.
Yeah. And so that's what I love, because I know now when I reach out to you, it's just further evidence that you're going to help me advocate for myself.
Oh yeah.
So for any listeners in here listening to Unplug with Mel, what would you say to encourage them if they've got a crappy boss, or maybe they're feeling like they're not going to achieve more without that piece of paper, or maybe someone's being a jerk to them right now?
Well, there's 2 quotes.
Okay.
One of them is from Henry Ford.
Yep.
If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So what mindset are you going to have in that moment?
Yep.
Do you think you can, or do you think you can't?
We're going to say you
one?
can.
We're going to say you can, and you will persevere.
Mm-hmm.
Again, somebody may tell you, God, that looks like a 6-year-old did it.
Doesn't matter.
Well,
Proud
you know
6-year-old on the
what?
plane.
It got done.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that I remember from 7th grade, Mrs. Masters at Brandenburg Middle School in Garland, Texas,
Whoop, whoop.
on the wall, excuses are tools to nothingness.
I like that.
Now, does that mean that I will never make an excuse? No. But what it does remind me is, you know what? I made the excuse. Nothing happened. I did not move forward on the project, the career, the whatever, because the excuse led to nothingness. Excuses are tools to nothingness, and that's true. It's a tool you use to get out of progressing.
I love it. Well, in your journey, and we've talked about a few people already and stuff, but I love to wrap up in the important or the serious questions, and giving accolades or a shout out to the mentors or the colleagues that have helped shape Leigh to who Leigh is today.
There have been a lot.
That seems to be the trend in all of my episodes.
There really are, because it is who is the mentor in that season.
Correct. That's
Who
why we
is your
should have a
mentor?
multitude of them.
You're going to have, and they're going to pass in and out of your life. Some you're going to maintain relationships for years or maybe decades. Some are just there for a season. And so early, when I first got into HR back in 1991, it was Liz Garman and Cheryl Fifield. Those people were absolutely amazing to me and really helped.
I love it.
You know, as I moved further, there was a Margie Addis and a Bob Oneman. Everyone's going to have the Margies and the Liz's and the Cheryls in their life. And here in this season of my life, it's all about the people that I am surrounded with, that I can call up and say, let's go have lunch.
Mm-hmm. And
so I call Robert Segura. We do lunch probably about once every month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
We will go 2 months, but about every month and a half seems to be the sweet spot for us. Same thing with Carol Christiani, and sometimes she joins Robert. I mean, we invite people. Anybody's welcome. You're next. We're gonna invite you. Or Chuck over in Odessa. It doesn't matter who it is, but we learn from each other, because there's no limit on how much we can learn, and not one of us is smarter than the other.
No,
none of us are.
Oh yes, and it's critical in that, because if you don't have that, and you're floundering in your career, you're floundering in your personal life, that's something you need to look into.
Yes.
Is who's your circle now in this season, and is that where it's at? Is that the missing link? And then be bold enough to reach out to that one person you don't think is actually going to want to mentor you. If you feel there's a vibe, if you feel there's a connection, be bold and go for the yes.
Yes.
And if they say yes, you got it. If they say no, not right now, I can't make that commitment, that's not no forever.
No, it's no for right now. Pick up another mentor that I get to see face to face.
All right.
After several decades, I have a passport again.
Yay!
So
I love that. Does that go into our last question of what does Leigh do to unplug?
Actually, I am such a boring person, but I do like to get out and see things and drive. So obviously I couldn't go very far. With 3 dogs at home and a husband, vacations are not really an option. But my mother is now in Midland. We moved her here 2 years ago.
Okay.
She loves to go driving. And so we, on Saturdays, weather depending and what other things are going on, we will go see West Texas. And she's learning that, yes, it's a lot of sand, but there is some beauty, and it's a very unique beauty.
Yes.
It is very different. And she loved going to Alpine. She's like, there's mountains. I went, yes, there are. You're in the part of the state that has them now.
I have lived here almost 6 years, and I have loved getting to know West Texas and seeing it. I'm not a fan of the windy, dusty stuff, but
it's packed to life here.
Sunsets and the sunrises can't be beat.
Oh, they're amazing. We have the absolute best.
We do.
Sunrises and sunsets.
And well, Leigh, I thank you for coming up. We've definitely unplugged.
We have.
And I hope that as the audience, you are inspired and continue to go through your journey. But again, I think the consensus of this interview here is to get out there and make your connections. Network is your net worth. And if you need someone, and I'm not volunteering her because I know she has that heart, but if you want to connect, she's on LinkedIn.
I am. My last name is Tarzian. It's not like there's a lot of us, and yes, they are all related.
And so I'll put that in the notes, how you can connect with her. I'm also on LinkedIn. If you do reach out to Leigh, let her know that you heard her on Unplug with Mel. Again, you can hear us on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple. Thank you, Leigh.
Thank you.
Yes,
it's been great.
Happy holidays.
Yes, happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. And a Happy New Year. And on that note, we'll catch you later.
Yes.